Oh, Canada. Welcome back, Formula One fans, to the Lapdown podcast. My name is Dan. I'm joined by Alex, and I've got a fun fact here.
Oh, we're starting with a fun fact.
It is a fun fact, and this is based on pure logic and logic alone. So, are you aware of a gentleman called Jacques Villeneuve?
Jacques Villeneuve. I have heard of him, and I have heard of the circuit.
The 1997 Formula One world champion. The circuit's actually named after Gilles Villeneuve, not Jacques. But anyway, we'll go through that. And have you also heard of a gentleman called Lance Stroll?
I am familiar with Mr. Stroll.
Well, get your teeth around this one. Jacques Villeneuve's career starts 163 compared to Lance Stroll's 151. And Lance Stroll currently, and probably forever now, trumps Jacques Villeneuve's career points, bearing in mind a Formula One world champion, by 44 points. Now, if that doesn't convince you that Lance Stroll isn't good enough to be a Formula One world champion, what will?
What will? What will? What a start. Dan's comes swinging out with facts immediately on the Canadian Grand Prix. Is it the Canadian Grand Prix? Are they just sticking with the country this time? It's not a silly name one?
Let me have a look for you. You can do some talking if you want.
I'll do some talking while you do some investigation. But yeah, we're back on another race week. We're back on funny timings as well. The joys of the European leg that us Europeans got to enjoy. Short-lived.
Formula One, AWS Grand Prix du Canada 2024. This is similar to the Emilia Romagna MSC cruises made in Italy. Like they've gone, like that one's gone all Italian. And they've gone, oh, do you know what we should do? We should just stick made in Italy in there just for people to kind of make sure. And this Canadian one, obviously there's an element of French-speaking Canadian land. And they've just decided to put do in the middle of it. Like,
do.
Formula One, AWS, to be fair, Grand Prix is also French. But Canada, I don't know whether that's the French pronunciation of it or not. But anyway, I don't know. There you go. There's your name.
That's it. It's the do Grand Prix. It's the do Grand Prix. We're back on a circuit that you can see what's going on around the next corner. And I slightly worry that we'll be back on a circuit that Red Bull will enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel... I think I said that after the Monaco one, didn't I? And it's
or at least this is a good test this weekend.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I think this is going to be the litmus test, isn't it, as to what the rest of the season looks like. I mean, we've had a bit of fun for the last couple of weeks, and I think we're going to find out pretty quickly over the course of the next 3 days as to whether we're going to have a bit of fun for the rest of the season or whether we're going to just go back to kind of talking about who's going to finish second each week.
Yes, although it's my favourite thing because there's a little bit of precipitation in the air. There's a little bit of precipitation around on all 3 days of the weekend as well. So it's possible that we might not actually find out sort of everyone's true open racing pace because the forecast I've seen is wet for practice, wet for quali, properly wet for quali, and then the chance of some light showers on the race. So, and I think we definitely touched on this before. The chance of light showers is my favourite forecast for a Formula One race. Because I want, is it inters? Is it softs? Can we risk going on to a new set of mediums? Do we have to stay on the inters? How many more laps on the inters? That is where the rain's good. I don't actually want it properly wet.
But the thing is, the second it goes or even further than a little bit wet, it gets to a stage where it goes, well, we better red flag it because no one can see where they're going. Yeah. So at that point there, it becomes completely pointless. So rain is not what we want. Just a little bit of light drizzle, on the other hand. Perfect. Yeah. Mizzle, some might say. Just give us a little bit of mizzle. Although what I am hearing is what you've told me is that basically we are going to have a rerun of the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix.
Here we go. It's History Corner with Dan again. Let's go. We had the Monaco edition last week.
That was the one that Jenson Button kind of did those 19 pit stops and kind of still came back through the field and overtook Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull on like the last lap to win the Grand Prix. So that is basically what you've told me is going to happen. And if it doesn't, I'm going to sue you under trade descriptions.
I'm on board with that. I am very much on board with that. Yeah, I think like a nice, short, sharp, 4-lap, relatively steady, like shower that we can all see for a while. Like I want Ted Kravitz losing his shit because over the hill over there, look how grey it is. And then if it could just throw some water down, but not to a standing point, so that maybe some of the fields stick it out. Like that race we had It was a slightly mad one, but at Zandvoort where, you had, I think, Lando stayed out, maybe Checo stayed out, or Checo came in really early. Are you brave enough to stay on slicks? Does it make sense to stay on slicks and save the pit stop time? Perfect. Let's have one of them at Canada, please.
Let's do it. I'm okay with it. Let's watch the clouds build up over Bill's mothers. I assume they have Bill's mothers in Montreal.
De Bill's mother.
That one. What
that
a bit
one.
Of cultural inappropriation there from my Australian
I'm just speaking
co-host.
French, mate. I'm just speaking French. That's all that is. Right, I have a game. It's called Who Will Hit the Wall of Champions at the Canadian Grand Prix. You can all play along at home. I'm not talking little kisses, right? I don't just mean, he scraped the wall and a little bit of the Pirelli paint's come off the outside of the tyre. I'm talking clonks. Again, we don't have to have had a crash, but if Crofty hasn't gone, ooh, that's my level, right? I want a Crofty, ooh. There, Jads. Who's hitting the wall of champions?
Can it happen in any session, or are we talking about race session only?
Sorry, I was doing the theme song. No, full speed sessions, please. Full speed.
Okay,
sessions.
so
I don't want them dialing
slash...
in the car and having a clonk
All right,
on.
okay. No, that's fine. It just changes things. Back to your theme tune. Who's gonna hit it? Such a good question. I think we're going to see a little bit of Nico Hulkenberg.
Ooh, Hulk wall.
Yeah, Hulk smash. Hulk.
I can see it.
Smash the wall.
I can see it. I can actually see an all Haas wall because, but in different ways. I think there's a chance that Kevin hits the wall considerably harder because he's trying a lot harder.
Or Checo just drives them both in there.
Or Checo just goes nose first into the wall somehow. Weighed down by that new contract that we'll come on to in a minute.
Jeez.
I think the Hasses are a good shout. I was pondering this earlier. It feels wrong to say Lance Stroll because why are you playing the game? It's a little bit like going on The Price is Right and saying like $1 over the other person just to, take the sweaty way of playing the game. Yeah. So I shan't say Lance Stroll.
It'd be like going to the Grand National, putting £100 on the only fully grown horse, and avoiding all of the Shetland ponies that aren't going to be able to jump over the fences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've cracked that. I'm gonna reverse engineer this in my head. I'm gonna say I don't think we're seeing a Ferrari or a McLaren clonk the wall. I think they're fine. Georgie Russ doesn't mind it. I've hit the wall.
Yeah, he likes a little love tap,
GR63 doesn't mind a little kiss, does he? Sod it, let's go. GR's going to be trying hard, and he's just going to get a little bit of rear traction failure at that back corner. Bump your ass into it. And then I think Checo Perez hits the wall because it's Checo Perez, and that's what he does. So,
yeah, poor old Checo.
He's got a lot of money, so I don't really feel a huge amount of sympathy for him.
No.
But keep it in the track. And then I think maybe... you're just going to start listing all the average teams otherwise. You're just going to start going, well, Zhou's hitting the wall. Although Zhou, to be fair to him, is quite a clean driver, largely. I think he's maybe slow because he doesn't use the curbs or the outside of the track and just drives around the middle bit of it.
That's the team radio that we don't hear, is the engineer from Sauber or Kick or whatever it is going over the line and just go, Guan Yu, you're just at 75% throttle right now. He just comes back and goes, yeah, I know, that's fine.
We don't need to burn it out, do we?
Yeah. My grandma said to me this old Chinese proverb back in the day. She said, to finish first you have to finish. And I
will finish. Speaking of
who's
race
laughing
now?
Huh?
Speaking of race engineers, have you seen the video of Charles Leclerc's new race engineer giving him a constant cuddle around every lap of the made in Italy Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix?
I have not, no.
Seek it out because, he's now got what he deserves, right? Because he's had his other bloke with bloody We Are Checker non-stop, and he's now got this guy with a lovely voice who just spends the whole race going, "You're doing well. This is good. This is good. We like this. You're doing well. Very good. That last lap, very good. You're doing well. He's suddenly got this warming, loving father figure in the car with him, just giving him a cuddle all the way round. And it is so lovely because it sounds like it's Ollie Behrman jumped back in the car and he just needs some, like, a reminder that, that lap was good. It's such a change from Xavi before. Like, it's, I mean, wow. Go and seek it out because wholesome. It's wholesome content of a bloke just having just a little pat in the head. Just, that was a good one. Well done.
Sometimes that's all you need in life. Sometimes you need.
Maybe that's all Charles needs.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. Why not? He's only a young man, and sometimes it's as I said. Sometimes it's just nice to have a little bit of a pat on the back and just be told that you're doing a good thing. You know.
Yeah.
So, good for Charles. Good for whoever the new race engineer is.
Yeah, I don't know his name. Is it possible that the Ferrari garage has seen Charles, training Leo, his new little puppy, and the way he's playing with his new little puppy and teaching him the ways of the world, that they've gone, hang on a second, you're our little puppy. Maybe we should be toilet training you in the car in the same way. And maybe the drinks tube has been replaced by a biscuit tube.
I can't believe many people that are born and grow up in Monaco are particularly roughy tufty, shall we say? I guess that would be the nice way to say it. I guess I guess particularly if you end up with a career in Formula One, and then obviously you've got enough of money in your family to bankroll your younger brother through the series as well. That maybe he isn't this kind of thoroughbred Italian stallion that the Ferrari kind of team thought they were going to get, and maybe he is a bit more of kind of a delicate kind of limoncello sorbet that if you kind of don't get the temperature perfectly right for him, either you're going to end up with an ice cube, or you're going to end up with a melty mess of sugary, limoncello-y, alcoholic-y stuff, which is probably still pretty... All three options are probably still tasty. However, the one in the middle is the one that you're after. A bit of a Goldilocks, maybe.
There you go. Goldilocks Leclerc. Which sounds like it could be his sister. So that does add up. That all makes sense. Right. Final thing, I suppose, on Canada before we go into a little bit of driver market chat.
Yeah, let's get on to the good stuff.
The AI trophy. The
Yes.
trophy this weekend has been in a partnership between AWS and Formula One to do a generative AI trophy design, which I'm going to be honest with you, having seen all the stuff I've seen about ChatGPT starting to flirt with people and the new horny tone that ChatGPT's got, it's going to look like a giant cock, isn't it?
No. I know what it looks like.
Do ya?
Yeah, because once you kind of build this up in the intro, I was intelligent. I went on to Bing AI image generator. And I did some typing, and I put in some things. What did I say specifically? Show me a Grand Prix winner's trophy for the 2024 Canadian Grand Prix in 4K.
Oh, 4K, specify.
Right? So, logically, this is the only way that this is going to have happened. So, if I share my screen...
Well, here we go.
If I can do that...
Here we go.
Where is the bit... Oh, here we go. Are you ready for this?
This is not helpful for the people listening to this as a podcast, but...
No. But you've just won the Canadian Grand Prix, and...
Here we go.
Boom.
Oh, it comes with a lady.
With headphones.
It comes with a headphone lady. All of them appear to have a headphone lady involved. I mean, it looks a lot like I want to say Silverstone Trophy.
Yeah.
Is the Silverstone Trophy like a really traditional, armed cup with a hat on it?
Or this
That's
one.
big. It's got some size. They've already decided that Charles is winning as well.
Yeah.
They've even put the Shell logo on the car.
They've done pretty well there, to be fair, haven't they? And that is a big trophy. Or this one, and I don't understand this at all.
That one, I think that sign says "honk if you're horny," and it's actually the F1 driver yelling at the fan with a megaphone. So
anyway,
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing when I think it was RB or Kick used an AI designed poster right? And there is, I have two headspaces. I have that's kind of nifty headspace because it might be quite nifty and it might do something that, other trophy designers haven't thought of before. But then part of my mind also goes, AI inherently is just a plagiarism machine that plagiarizes everyone at once a little bit so that they don't plagiarize one thing a lot. So for creative things like this, are we actually going to get a better trophy than something that a designer could have come up with? Like we saw, I think it was Austria maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and the trophy was like wood and had some water from the circuit or something in the trophy. And AI's not going to do that. AI doesn't have the soul to think, oh, this circuit is known for do, so I'm going to put a load of do in the trophy. And you just think, yeah, I know it's an ad for AWS. I know that that's what this is. Can we work that ad in elsewhere? We're going to have the AWS close to the wall graphic. We know that's all coming this weekend. But do we need an Omni trophy?
Yes, apparently we do.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, Formula One is a relatively kind of soulless place now, generally, I think. There's so much kind of... there just isn't a great deal of emotion involved in there now, is there? Let's be completely honest. And I know you obviously are pretty late to the sport. But even when you throw back to obviously the whole title of that Wall of Champions, for example, like there was a genuine risk factor involved when you watched Formula One back in that kind of era when that name was kind of dubbed, that you thought, oh, Schumacher's hit this. Schumacher's like, there's a bit of risk involved because the car isn't as stable. The tires maybe aren't as good. Oh, they are allowed to drive in the rain. Whereas now it's kind of like, oh, it's the Wall of Champions. And it's like, oh, Tsunoda's got close. And it's like, well, firstly, he's not a champion. Secondly, oh, he got close. Good for Yuki.
1 centimeter close. 1.2, thanks to AWS.
Yeah, you can get that delivered to your door tomorrow.
Yep. The whole wall. The whole wall of champions.
The whole wall. Yeah, it's on Prime.
Mini Lego model. Mini Lego model. Right then. Driver market chat, because a couple of pieces are falling into place. But as you pointed out, as we did we do actually, now this will come as a surprise to some of you, we do actually prepare a little bit for this. A little bit, but we do prepare a little bit. And in your preparations earlier, there are more open seats than I thought there were for 2025 still. So obviously the big news is Checo's got himself 2 more, which is surprising. No, it's not surprising. It's actually the most unsurprising outcome, but in itself is a surprising outcome. I think it's maybe a stability argument because there's a lot of instability in that team at the minute that, you know what, okay, occasionally he's going to bungle himself out in Q1, but for the most part, he's going to finish in the top 6, and that's all we need because we've got the greatest driver in the world ever, just winning by a lap and a half all the time. So I get it in that sense, and we know the amount of extra secondary money that he brings in from, the South American market, and I get it.
I don't think it's great for Formula One.
No.
I don't. Sergio Perez in a Red Bull does not or is not allowed to compete in races. And therefore, for the sports perspective, it's not a good move. For the team, understand it. For Checo, amazing. Probably for Max, great. Like, it ticks a lot of the good boxes, I think. But from a fan's perspective, unless you were from Mexico and therefore probably part of the Cali cartel, I don't see why anybody would look at that news and go, oh, you know what, I'm going to like that post. Like, you're not going to have... I don't see it being liked by...
Pierre Gasly.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What was interesting, speaking on the likes thing, is Red Bull on Facebook turned off the negative reaction options a couple of hours after that post went out. There were quite a number of angry face emojis, laughing emojis, and like the skull dead emoji that had been used as reactions, probably totaling 15 or 20k odd reactions across those. Those options disappeared after a little bit, and you now can't actually choose those emoji as a reaction option. Now...
That's so bad.
Ooh, is what I'll say to that. That's, not everyone has to like your driver announcement.
No.
You don't know that everyone that has come to your post is a Red Bull fan. Maybe they're angry because they're an Aston Martin fan and they thought they were going to get Checo back. There's many reasons that they could be conveying those emotions. The Skull one, I maybe get a little bit. There's implications we can read into that are different. But yeah, let's not go limiting the emotions that people are allowed to feel, lads. That's an odd one. What I will say though, it was never really going to happen. Sorry, go on.
You can get the meeting, can't you, afterwards once the social media manager has had a chat with whoever their boss would be at Red Bull, and they walk back in, they go, "Great news, lads! 100% positive reactions on the Checo."
That's going in a PowerPoint
signing, and you're like, yeah, but you've just kind of completely fabricated the truth there.
Yeah, 100%.
Ticks the box.
Tick it.
Much like
Tick
Checo.
It. It was never really going to happen, and I can't see it ever happening, but I would have loved the absolute chaos of a Max Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda driver pairing at Red Bull. Can you imagine, right? They're in some kind of Hamilton-Rosberg, Hamilton-Bottas style complete pairing domination.
Yeah.
They're going relatively close to each other, and you've got Yuki Tsunoda dive bombing his own teammate because they were told to hold position and he said no, and then Max is spinning off into the gravel. It would have been incredible, and I'm disappointed that we've had that option taken away from us, but I'm not sure that him and Daniel Ricciardo were ever really an option in that seat.
I don't think so, and I don't think anybody that Red Bull would have wanted in there was an option either, if that makes sense. Like I don't see. I do wonder whether they might have had a conversation with Lewis at some point. I suspect they probably did.
They would be doing their job badly if they didn't. Put it that way as well.
Precisely. And I think the one that they did really want, and probably still do really want, would be Lando. And I don't see it being a particularly brilliant move for anybody to go and sit in that number 2 seat at Red Bull if you've got any aspirations of winning things, whether that's races, championships, constructors, whatever that might be, not only because it's going to be so clear that you're going to be the number 2 driver. However, what we've seen, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest it, is the fact that nobody else in the world can drive that bloody thing the way that Max Verstappen wants that car set up. Might all change now that obviously Adrian's gone and there's going to be a new person that's come in,
and new regs coming out today as well for 2026. They could be a shitbox in 2026. They won't be, but they could be.
Still going to be a case of Max is sat down in the factory and they're going to build the car up around him.
Yeah, F124 style, incredibly pointy, unrealistically sticky front end, and
Max just turns up at Milton Keynes, sits in the middle of the workshop, and just sits there like this.
Yeah,
for 6 months, doesn't move, and then they basically just sculpt the car around him. And then Checo turns up, having had a winter away in Mexico and enjoying himself, and just kind of goes, "Right, lads, I'm here for my feet," and they've just gone, "No, it's there."
Yeah, what's the car like this year, lads? Well, it's done, and the engine's actually already running. So pop yourself in there. It's one less option now for Carlos Sainz. I know Red Bull sort of withdrew themselves from the race sort of unofficially quite early on, if you're to believe things. So it was maybe never an option on the table anyway. But the genuine Carlos options that are good options in terms of him being on the podium again next year are now decreasing quite rapidly, in that he's sort of got Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, there is still a question mark over the second driver, Aston Martin. I think
I said podiums, Daniel.
Yes, you did. yeah.
Have you not seen their upgrade trajectory? It's not podium.
Fine, I'll take it all back.
No, but yeah, you say there are still sort of technically a question mark over that seat.
Yeah. Do you know what? Soon, and I know I started this off a bit tongue-in-cheek about Lance Stroll and about the fact he's got more kind of career points than a Formula One world champion. Obviously, the point structure has changed significantly since
number of
Jacques
races
Villeneuve
have changed
retired.
Significantly. And
precisely, there's a lot more going in favour of Lance than what there was for Jacques. I think, ironically, Jacques with less points has got considerably more podiums than Lance has. But anyway, surely. And I know it's Daddy Stroll, and I know it's his team, and I know basically it's bought for little Lance to kind of have a little bit of play in and ride around and have some fun. But surely, like after 250 race starts, which is going to be getting on for 260, 265 by the end of this year, surely there gets to a stage where it's kind of like the dad has got to see the best here for the child and kind of go, come on, let's kind of tee you up for the future CEO of Aston Martin Formula One. Let's bring you into the back office because this isn't working. You're costing me a lot of money. It's getting a bit embarrassing now, to be frank. Let's get someone like Carlos in, and you can come and be Lance Stroll, junior vice president executive, and still be around Formula One and still probably be richer than all the other bastards on the grid and still probably think you're better than them. So I think it kind of works for all of them.
I like the idea that Big Daddy Stroll might just start sending, without an additional message, Instagram posts to Lance of like different racing series. Just like keep sending him IndyCar result images being
just
like,
reels.
That looks fun, doesn't it? Have you seen this IndyCar lark, Lance? That looks fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head what Daddy Stroll's percentage stake of Aston Martin is, but he is. It's not like, and I know it was never really like this, but it's not. He's not Frank Williams, and it's the Williams Racing team, and so he can kind of do what he wants. He has got other investors, board members, etc. to answer to. Yes, he's the majority stakeholder, so the buck does stop with him as a deciding vote. But I'm amazed that there has not been from Aston Martin and the other people on the board a little bit more of like, who's going to tell Mr. Stroll that we don't want his kid in the car anymore? Like, I'm surprised. It might be happening, and it might work its way all the way up to the table, and he might just go, no. But I'm surprised that hasn't maybe happened with more pressure. But yeah, I mean, Carlos would fit in there. Obviously, there's been a lot of chirp about whether he goes to Williams and does that sort of pops in there. I can't see him going to Haas. I think if I had to put money on it, if I had to put money on it, he's going to take a year of pain at Kick Hippie Bibby, and just because there will be a very, very, very competitive Audi offer on the table there. And 2026 almost doesn't matter where you're driving. You don't want to be at a Haas. Haas are not going to win the first race of 2026 in that lottery. But amongst the big salary cap teams, or the cost cap teams, 2026, it's flip a coin stuff, because as we've seen with Mercedes, they went from here to here. Yeah. And Red Bull, okay, they were already here, but they went considerably up. And it's a gamble. It doesn't matter. So it's whether or not he can tolerate pootling around in P16 for 2025 for the payoff, which I think he can, to be honest. I think as well, I know he's said a couple of times he doesn't really care about his dad's connections to the Audi, other leagues and whatever, but him and his dad are very close in racing and family and all the rest of it. So I can. Yeah.
Where would you want him to go? Go on. What would be your, if you were sat here and you had the final say as to where he went? Where would you want to see Carlos go for a multi-year, long-term kind of thing, not kind of a 1 year stopgap and then kind of potentially move on to somewhere else the year afterwards? But if you're looking to kind of build a team and a legacy around Carlos Sainz, which I think you could do, I think he's the kind of driver that you could do that. Which one of those seats that are currently available would you go, that's where I'd like you to be?
I'm going to make a bold call on that for the benefit of everybody. I'm being very generous here.
Ferrari.
Tell me that a James Vowles-led Alex Albon, Carlos Sainz, resurgent cost cap era Williams with some new regs in 2026 couldn't be a lot of fun. Because that Williams now, okay, there's a little bit of turbulence going on and they don't have enough parts for the car and all. Forget all that stuff. Alex Albon has been able to, at times, stick that car in the top 5 of timing sheets, has stuck that car in points. It's clearly not an absolute shitbox, because a very good driver is able to make it a good car in the right circumstances. And they've also, and I think people are forgetting this a little bit, James Vowles said at the start of the year, and maybe even last year, they do not care about this year. They are not trying. And they're not trying for next year. They are full send on 2026. Might not work. As we said, you roll on the dice. It's a gamble. You might think your car's brilliant. You turn up and you're 4 seconds behind because everyone got it better. But I think that could be Williams having 2 senior, experienced, quality drivers with, I'm going to say, my favourite team principal on the grid, and you would have to say he is doing very good things for how it looks externally, at least at the minute, from the outsider to Williams. Well, that'd be good. I think that's the most exciting. There's the highest potential ceiling there for me, I think, at Williams.
Yeah. I would like to see him in green. And not because I have a dislike of a Canadian Formula One driver, but I do genuinely think it could be a really good fit. I think he would work really well with Fernando for the next couple of years whilst Fernando is there. Fernando then, from what I understand, has kind of goals and aspirations to kind of work further along that kind of Aston Martin pipeline. Clearly, they've got a brand new factory that they're kind of in the process of building or have just finished, which I think is another massive step forward.
Their own wind tunnel as well, I think, now.
Yeah, there is genuine kind of conversation that Adrian Newey could go to Aston Martin. And if he doesn't, then I think it's a compliment the fact that they're linked with him in the first place, but then also a nod to the fact that they have the resources to be able to afford and accommodate somebody of Adrian Newey's intelligence and prowess. So therefore you kind of go, look, you get a 2-time world champion, you get a race-winning Spaniard in kind of that driver partnership. You've got a bloke there at the top of it that has pockets deeper than his trousers. You've got a brand new factory, brand new facilities. You've got some good people behind there, and they're very close to getting it right. They just seem to kind of downgrade things rather than upgrade things. I think it could be really good. And people like Aston Martin, they're going to want that car to be going in the right direction. And somebody like Carlos is going to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it a lot. To finish, Esteban's gone. Where do you think Esteban's going?
Wasn't it?
Yeah. It sounds like, if you believe some things you've read, that was decided ahead of Monaco, and that maybe that's why it's Bruno Faman, isn't it? The head of it that came out and was quite quick to make some calls on some European telly, but that maybe explains a little bit more why he was so happy to stick the boot in and be a bit of a prick immediately if he knew, we're already announcing this week he's going, so I can say what I want.
Yeah.
Where do you think he's going? Do you think he's moving to another F1 team, or do you think he's going to go different series and put his feet up?
Well, as we've just finished speaking about the driver market, there's a lot more seats available in that grid than what we actually kind of thought. There obviously is that second one at Kick, which would be kind of not an obvious shout, but there's 2 more at AlphaTauri.
Both at Kick in theory, isn't there?
No, because they've got Hulkenberg.
They brought Hulkenberg in. Yes, sorry, I'm thinking
Hulkenberg
Audi.
is confirmed. But there's 2 there. There's 2 at Haas. There's 2 at AlphaTauri. There's 1 at Kick. There is obviously the one at Aston. There's the one at Merck, and then there are 2 at Alpine, which clearly he's not going to be privy to. Best case scenario, he finds himself in a Haas. I don't see him going anywhere else. He's not going to go as part of Red Bull's junior program. Do you know, actually, now I've just said all of that stuff, he's obviously part of Toto's management. Could he be a 1-year stopgap for Mercedes to get through to 2026 when Kimi Antonelli is 7 years old rather than 6, and then therefore kind of actually have a driver's license and can drive a Formula One car? Maybe that could work, but they would be it. He either gets a Haas seat or he gets a 1-year deal at Mercedes.
Williams, maybe,
just to kind of,
with the Mercedes link? No.
I don't see it. No.
The only reason that I don't think that he will get a 1-year Mercedes seat is his own pride. Because I don't think he would be willing, because you would be putting your hand up going, I am a substitute teacher. If you took, everyone knows that seat is Kimi Antonelli's at some point. So if you take that seat now and it would be announced, I'm certain that they would announce it on a 1-year deal because they would want everyone to know that he's seat warming.
Oh, 100%.
That does not do your image or value as a driver any good if you come out and everybody admits that you're only there because the other bloke hasn't got any armpit hair yet. And then, I can't see him doing that. unless he genuinely has no other options and decides, you know what, I've got enough money and I've got a fit missus now, I assume. I'll do one more year. Okay, Toto, I'll help you out. And then I'm going to go and retire on my yacht and do whatever I fancy after that. Get a gig on Canal, French TV and just go and be their Rosberg. But, yeah, I mean, it's hard to logically fit him in somewhere, isn't it? There's nothing that really jumps out. Like, if Danny Rick was dropped by RB, you'd be like, he's going to Haas. 100% they stick him straight in that Haas team or they put him straight in the Stake team because he fits that vibe.
Yeah.
You don't see it with.
There's a bit of PR about the others, isn't there? Esteban comes across as pretty stubborn, very headstrong. And I think kind of in the past, without really kind of knowing these exact moments, I'm fairly sure has had fairly kind of heated arguments with various teammates through the past as well. And ultimately through things that have been, well, none other than his fault. But because of that, again, I don't necessarily see him kind of disappearing off to a Formula E. I don't see him kind of... Like Esteban Gutierrez, for example, Formula One race driver, disappeared off the face of the earth, basically as a bit of Mercedes Formula One reserve / show driver. So when Mercedes turn up at various events, obviously Hamilton can't be asked to do it. So they just wheel out Esteban Gutierrez and everyone goes, oh, that's where he is now. And does a few donuts and some burnouts and everyone goes, all right, okay, cool. I saw the Mercedes, and then goes home and then you see him again in 12 months time. So I don't see Esteban doing that. If he doesn't get picked up by Haas, I think he's falling through the net and out the door.
Yeah. No, agree. Right then. That's us. That's the Dujal Grand Prix. You just mumble all the words together in French, and you get somewhere near the mark, don't you?
Something kind of.
Right, very quickly then, because we haven't discussed this in detail. Blue flags this weekend. Who shit the bed?
Well, I'm going to go for the man that I just decided to park in the wall earlier in the episode. I'm just going to stick with Hulkenberg because, one, I can't be asked to think about anything else, and I feel like that just seems like if he's going to park it in the wall, surely that's blue flags.
Yep. No, I think there's a chance of that. I'm going to go Alex. Words. Alex Albon. Don't know why.
Oh.
Alex Albon, all the champions, pushing hard. I think it's going to be a heartbreaker. I'm going to get quite detailed on my blue flag here. I think it's going to be a heartbreaking blue flag because I think it's going to be like a Q2 final run. He's the last one on track that was drying and he's put slicks on for a glory run and he is half a second up on getting into Q3 and then he's just going to take a little bit too much wet curb in the final corner and he's going to break an axle. There you go.
Chassis broken, medical centre, can't race on Sunday.
Who is the reserve driver for Williams? Do we know?
Well, it won't matter if he's broken the chassis because there'll only be 19 cars on the grid anyway. So
they've got another one now, though, don't they? I think it was Miami they were meant to have another one, so they might have a second car. Maybe. Fingers crossed. Anyway, if you'd like to get involved, LapdownPod on pretty much all your socials, or you can email lapdownpod@gmail.com. We'll be back next week for chat. What's our next Grand Prix after Canada, please?
Oh, I don't know. Austria, maybe?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but for the time being...
Spain.
Good, happy racing.
Spain.
Oh, I like Spain. I like that in the game. That's me. I have a lot to say on that.
Great ending.